Guest this morning is a public affairs analyst, Emandi Ezenagu. Good morning. Happy New Month, Emandi.
Good morning, Eddie, and Happy New Month.
Keki, man.
On them.
Abadie.
Idi okay.
That's good. That's telling that apart from just speaking Igbo, you understand one other language. And quickly, let's just begin by bringing to you up to speed with the news making rounds on ABS website. And the first news we have for you this morning is Electrical Dealers International Market Obosi inaugurate access road. Residents forcefully evicted in Awka. Dijan holds Southeast Zonal Conference in Awka, also making the rounds on ABS website. Former Nigeria international Udeze asked Super Eagles to get motivation from Super Falcons' victory. Tinubu swears in Uzokalu as Southeast Zone Commissioner in National Assembly Service Commission. Tinubu extends tenure of Controller General of NCS at Deniyi. Quickly, that's all we have for you, and let's delve into the stories that we have making rounds here on ABS website. Emande, quickly, at least you're in Nigeria, so you know what's happening. What do you have to say about the Electrical Dealers International Market Obosi inaugurating access road?
That is part of one of the things that when we see in our society, we encourage our leaders to do more. That shows that they have good and quality leaders in that market. And it's not just selfish leaders, but these are selfless leaders that have the people that are leading at heart. And also, it also shows that the welfare of the people in that market, yes, not just the traders, and also the buyers as well, that they have their welfare at heart. Because if there is no good access road, when the traders can't access their shops, the market, and the buyers can't also access the same market to buy. So I commend them, and I also urge other market leaders to, to see that and then take actions. Apart from access roads, there are other things that they can do to better the lives of the traders and the buyers.
Okay, former Nigeria international, remember this young man was flying the left flank of defense for Super Eagles way back then. Talking about Nigeria international, Udeze. Now he's selling the Super Eagles based on our match coming up next month, the crucial match that will bet us a qualification ticket to the next World Cup. Remember, we missed out on the last World Cup, and then this young man is saying that the Super Eagles should get motivation from the Super Falcons.
Yes. You see, before I go into that, I want to commend the federal government for honoring the Super Falcons. It's an honor given to them that shows that patriotism for your country, that that you get a reward for that. Okay. And also, as he's advising the Super Eagles, he should also advise the people, like the coach and the rest of them, to give us qualified players. That is one of the problems that will affect the Super Eagles. And also, I join my voice with Ifeanyi Udeze to say Super Eagles should take motivation from the Super Falcons.
Wow, thank you so much for that submission. Quickly, let's begin to delve into the national dailies, and the first paper we have for review this morning is the Daily Trust newspaper, where the banner headline that is screaming, 34 million Nigerians at risk of hunger as UN food aid ends. That's very, very worrisome to see. And at the mast, you have Canada to join UK, France to recognize Palestinian state in September. Niger takes federal government to court over 13% derivation. And then strike. Government nurses meet today. We believe that there's going to be an end to that issue about the strike. End bad governance protest 1 year after. Nothing has changed. And that's coming from the conveners. Quickly, let's see what the Nigerian Tribune has for us this first day of August 2025. And then the banner headline is screaming, FEC approves 145 billion electrification project for Unilag, UI, UNN, and others. Okay, 68.7 billion naira for second phase of solar panel for rural agri centers. Approves 3.7 billion for upgrade of oncology center in UCH. Wow, that's a lot of money going into our universities, I believe, and the quality of education will be the output as we all see. Tinubu extends Adeniyi's tenure as customs CG. Ilorin cleric who killed female students to die by hanging. Foreign Affairs Minister in Ghana amid deportation threat on Nigerians. Also, we have here HPV, new cases of skin cancer in people with weakened immunity. Yelwatda experience as REC added advantage for APC. That's coming from Lalong. And we want better salaries, not loans, ASU tells federal government. That's all we have for you on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Quickly, let's delve into these two papers and then before we go to the next this morning. Let me begin with this federal government approving 145 billion electrification project for Unilag, UI, UNN, and others. I think that is highly, welcome, laudable to say the least, because education is like an incubation center for technology, for research, for advancement of every kind, you understand? And without power, I just wonder what, innovations will come out from such establishments. What's your take on this?
Yes, it's a welcome development in our educational sector in this country, because we know that for a very long time we've not had such good news in the educational aspect of this country. And today the news is on board. Apart from coming to that into power, I believe that another area that the federal government have to look into is the classrooms. If you provide all this power and gadgets and the rest of them, and there is no enabling classrooms for study, you find out that it affects this education to some extent. The classrooms are mostly overcrowded. Not just overcrowded, if you go to our different schools, we don't have enough ventilations in the classrooms for study, especially when we talk about the general courses and the borrowed courses that we see in our universities. So I give kudos to the federal government, to the president, to the Minister for Education, and also I urge the VCs or the people that will handle this project, the financial aspect and also the gadgets that will be used in these institutions, to use them judiciously and what they are meant for. Thank you.
Okay, what do you have to say about 34 million Nigerians at risk of hunger as UN food aid ends? And that's the banner headline on Daily Trust newspaper. Hunger is visibly
I believe that the 34 million is not, we are more than 34 million.
Oh, we're not talking about the population of Nigeria, we're talking about the 34 million at risk.
At risk, apart from, there is nothing like at risk. More than 34 million people are already in hunger. There is inflation every day, in every aspect, in the petroleum aspect, transportation aspect, food. There's no security in any way. What we see is inflation, inflation, inflation. And at the end of the day, you come out to tell us that we are at risk of hunger when we are already in hunger. Now, since they know that about 34 million persons at risk of hunger, what will they do, or what are they doing to ensure that
that number doesn't swell, or yes, that number reduces?
It reduces. What?
Well, that would be for the federal government to know what to do, because this report is coming as the fact that aid has been withdrawn So that's why 34 million are at that risk.
it.
You understand? So quickly, let's see what we have for you on the Punch newspaper this morning, and we'll be taking it side by side on the New Telegraph newspaper. The banner headline of the Punch is screaming, marketers warn against disruption as Dangote plans direct fuel supply. And we have Ngosa Petron tackle Dangote. Petrol surges to 87 naira per litre at private depots amid feud. And then we also have at the mass of the Punch newspaper this morning, 2027 defections stir tension as APC ADC lock horns. Government forex windfall crashes 73% to 589 billion in first half of the year. Federal government approves 3.5 trillion naira for roads, airport orders. Nigeria needs new constitution, not amendment. That's coming from Ezekwesili, and that story you'll find on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. Recovery ongoing in 1.3 trillion CBEX Ponzi collapse. That's assurance coming from EFCC. Ondo, ADC vows to challenge Ayedatiwa's appeal court victory. And also we have here on the front page of the Punch newspaper, how suspected ritualist dismembered my 16-year-old son. That's coming from Ogun Driver. And Oyo budget hit 984 billion after 299.8 billion supplementary bill. And quickly, let's move to the New Telegram this morning. And we have Nigerian stock market delivers records 12.5 trillion gain in July. That's on the mast of the New Telegram. MBS fuel price increased by 38% in 1 year. That's really, really worrisome. And then we have the anti-Nigerian protest. Bianca Ojukwu allays fears meets Ghana's foreign minister. NLC condemns government interference in trade union activities. That's coming from the NLC chairman. And we have here Shippers Councils block repatriation of 52 billion in dubious forex claims at seaports. 74% of children in detention homes are waiting trial. That's coming from reports. And the banner headline, Tinubu plans financial support for 8.8 million persons at grassroots level, with riders saying, present initiative for the economically active at NEC. FEC OKs 68.7 billion for varsities, hospitals, rural businesses, electricity. 9.1 billion, 919.1 billion for Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt airport project. Concession of Enugu Airport to private sector for 30 years. And also we have 2027, we are not party to Tinubu's endorsement. That's coming from Kano PDP. And then we have scientists to study Nigeria's okra, melon during NASA's space mission. Strikes, federal government approves policy to regulate trade unions. Niger State sues federal government demands inclusion in 13% derivation. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a whole lot to chew here. The other story we saw where ASU were telling federal government that they don't want loans, that what they need is increased salary. And now we are seeing the president doling out 8 points, some financial, let's say, alleviation program for 8.8 persons at grassroots level. The question is, Nigeria is still a country that is bedeviled with data, proper data collection. Now, how do they even arrive at this number now to talk about the people that will actually benefit from this scheme?
I am not, to start with, I am not against rendering help, financial help to the
grassroots, to the people that actually need it.
At the grassroots. To tell you the truth, AJ, those funds will mean nothing to these people at the grassroots because there is hunger. It's not all about giving them this. What we are talking about is make Nigeria a better nation where there will be food security, security of lives and property, education security, and all kinds of security. Now, how much are we talking about that will be enough for these 8.8 million persons to invest in, either in agriculture or in skill or in one thing or the other? What we're talking about is make the economy comfortable for everyone, so that when you earn 1,000 naira, that 1,000 naira will go a long way to take care of your feeding, transportation, and all necessary needs in the family. Not at the end of the day or at the end of the month to give us stipends in the name of that are rendering help to the people at the grassroots. After that, by next year, you still mention that you want to give out loans to people again. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to make you understand is, AJ, let them make this economy, Nigerian economy, comfortable for everyone. You find out that if you give these people 5,000 naira, they will invest in it, and the output of that 5,000 naira will be something that they will be happy and grateful that, yes, that they invested in it and they get it more. At the end of the day, you find out that the money that they will use or that will be given to these people at the grassroots, they will use it to eat. We just read the previous one I mentioned about UN, saying that the withdrawal of their aid will cost about
34 million
Nigerians
starvation
and hunger. So out of the 34 million persons, and you give 8.8 million persons some money, what's it?
What's happening to the remaining 20-something
That's
million?
the thing. So just stabilize the economy. And you find out that all these loans that many Nigerians will not need them, because Nigerians are hardworking citizens. So just make the economy a very comfortable place, that when people go to the market with little money, they'll be able to buy what they need or whatever they want to buy at their own, with their own little earning or income.
Okay, quickly, let's see what we have for you on the other dailies this morning. Let's take the Vanguard newspaper, and that's next. How misuse of Cybercrime Act cost Nigeria 1.1 trillion in 7 years, with riders there saying banks, telcos, MDAs, network breached. Financial sector loses 53.4 billion to cyber criminals in 2024. Urgent need arise for re-imaging cybercrime enforcement architecture. We also have at the mast of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, banks deposit with CBN soar to 783% to 79.8 trillion naira. Strike, federal government approves policy to regulate trade union activities. 2027, Obi confirms talks with PDP orders. Governors move to address education crisis. And we've also seen Tinubu extending the customs CG's tenure. Niger drags federal government to court over 13% derivation. I think we need to talk on that. And Tinubu to governors take gains of reform to grassroots. And then we have a sport here, World Cup, why Super Eagles are struggling in qualifiers. That's coming from ex-Super Eagles striker, Idiye. And then we have here next on review this morning is This Day newspaper. We'll begin with the stories on the mast of the paper, with eye on 6.8 billion naira reserves. NUPRC rallies oil producers to raise deep water output to 810,000 barrels per day, with riders saying raises committee to identify unexplored assets. Others, operators will struggle in 5 years if nothing is done, says upstream regulator. And then we have here NEC targets economic stimulus for over 8.8 million people in 8,809 wards across Nigeria, with riders there saying set to pick at least 1,000 beneficiaries per ward nationwide. Tinubu, economic recovery working, but we must stimulate growth in rural areas. Federal government approves 712 billion naira rehabilitation of Lagos Airport Terminal 1. Projects to be executed within 22 months. OK's 213.7 billion for electrification of universities, rural communities. Awards multi-billion naira road projects nationwide. Approves new oncology center for Ibadan. Moves to address nurses' ongoing industrial strike. And that's all we have for you on the front page of this day newspaper. Quickly, let's take these other two so that we can wrap up with our reviews. Next will be the Daily Times newspaper. Federal government approves 919 billion for airport upgrade. We've seen that. Also here, insecurity, Zamfara residents beg for federal government intervention. Long overdue. Talking about customs lament attacks on officers, seizes 95.7 million smuggled fuel. Yalwatda can't win election in Plateau. That's coming from a group. CNG policy targets economically viable alternatives. That's coming from Speaker. Edo PDP demands redeployment of REC EOs ahead of by-election. And then we have here e-call up enforcement. Lagos State government registers over 10,000 trucks. Quickly, let's take the last paper, but not the least, and that's the Guardian newspaper. Call off strike for negotiation. That's the presidency. Reps tells health workers. And then we have furor over Rivers LG post as group threatens legal action. Also, Dangote Cement advocates budget-friendly mass housing for Nigerians. World Cup 2026, uncertainty for FIFA. Soccer fans over Trump's America's First policies. Tinubu rallies governors to drive reform gains despite hardship and discontent in states. More defections, leadership crisis unsettled PDP, ADC ahead of 2027 polls. And also we have here 2027, PDP projects Tinubu's endorsement, berates Atiku, orders over ADC coalition. Appeal court opposed Ayedatiwa's election as Ondo governor. Tension as bandits dismember 2 teenagers in Kogi State. Concerns as bank charges customers for accumulated USSD debts. And then we have 74% of children in detention homes awaiting trial, reports declares. Quickly, federal government seems to be intentional with the way they are doling out money for certain infrastructural development, the airports, some roads, and even the power they are giving to some universities. But amidst that, we still have the nurses still wanting to go on strike. But then let's talk about the Niger state that is taking federal government to court, like I said earlier on, for derivation, 13% derivation.
I think I saw that news. That was yesterday, and I'm still making some research on that. Based on, I want to study it more to know their main reasons for the 13% annual deregulation from the federal government. So for now, I don't have any comment on that.
Okay, no problem. Let's see what the Guardian newspaper, there is call off strike for negotiation. Presidency rep tells health workers. Before the strike, there was a 15-day, which is 2 weeks at the day, period, warning period.
Yes.
And then the federal government didn't see any need to get these people to the table so that they can talk and dialogue, only for them to now embark on their strike, calling for some improved services and then enumeration. And then the federal government is telling them, call off the strike so that we can negotiate. Is that diplomacy or just nonchalant abdication of responsibility on the part of federal government?
To me, I think it's collabo. In the sense that this is not the first time we're experiencing strike from the health workers.
Okay.
And you know, before an association or an organization goes on strike, they must have placed one or two demands. And when these demands are not met, that is when the strike comes in. And the strike is just to draw the attention of the body that are supposed to come to their aid or work on their demand. It's just to draw their attention about the demand that they have earlier made or requested. So for the federal government to tell the health workers to first call up the strike, let us negotiate, I believe that it is something that is not supposed to be heard in this country. In fact, their demand we are supposed to be giving to them even before the 15 days warning strike that they first gave before they now initiated the main strike. So you see, these are things, these are the problems that we have in this country. And if you check, most of them, one of the problems will be enabling environment, increase our salaries, provide amenities, provide what do I call it, equipment, and the rest of them. So these are the minor problems that the federal government can solve. So at the end of the day, and you know that going on this strike is at risk because they are risking the lives of Nigerians, even those that are under their care. So the federal government should just call them in, negotiate with them, fulfill the promises, and accept their demand, even before telling them to call off this strike. So I believe that the federal government is nonchalant when it comes to things that doesn't bother them, because at their every beck and call, they can just fly out for their medical trips or medical attention. So they don't feel the heat that most we Nigerians experience here. So telling them to call up the strike is not the problem. But the problem will be, if they call up the strike, what's next? Will they fulfill the promise? Or will it be business as usual, that before the end of November or December, we hear another strike from the health workers?
Well, thank you so much for that, Amanda. Quickly, let's wrap up with this last story. We've not heard a lot much from the happenings in Rivers State, but here on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we're seeing furrow over Rivers local government pools as group threatens legal action. There's been a peace deal brokered between the governor and then the Minister for Federal Capital Territory and then Mr. President. But we don't see any immediate swing into action of this man taking the reins of affairs over there in Rivers State. Now, with what transpired in Rivers in March, do we see anything of such happening anytime soon, where federal government will just go gun blazing, disregarding the constitution and then imposing state of emergency and ousting an elected governor?
You know that...
Is Rivers the end of it under this administration?
Once this kind of a thing happens rather, you find it that people will hold on it for it to happen again. So for the federal government to go against the constitution by kicking out Fubara, going against the constitution and imposing state of emergency and a sole administrator, it is what we expected. We Nigerians expected our legislators at the federal level to fight. But they didn't fight it. That means
there's a possibility of it reoccurring.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. And that's the much we can take this morning on Press Review. Thank you so much, Amanda, for making yourself available to be here and deal with the papers that we needed to deal with this morning. Well, still wishing you a happy new month, the month of August. And we're saying up next is the discussion segment on Good Morning Anambra. Thank you so much for being here, Madi.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Don't go anywhere. The show continues after this break.